This is DesNet, isn't it? Yes.
I'm the king of Hopperland. No. I'm the king of Hopperland. No. I'm the king of Hopperland. No. I'll bite your head off. You don't have any teeth.
Hello there. Didn't see you there. I fancy you'll probably hear about that Hopper thing. Funny story about the Hopper thing. You know, like when you work on something a little bit over a long period of time, and then you realize that it's not quite where you thought it would be? Yeah. So, my design goal can be described in one word. And that word is sproing. Now, you may not be able to read that on the whiteboard due to lighting circumstances, but I can assure you it most definitely says sproing with a capital G and capital all the other letters as well. So, why sproing? Well, you see, when you think of a spring, the word that comes into your head is probably spring. But the second word that comes into your head is probably sproing. Because that's kind of what a spring does. It sproings. And I wanted my hopper to embody the word sproing. So I created this, which is loosely, quite loosely, based off of that of a frog hopper. That is not a frog that hops, it's actually its own insect, in case you didn't know. It's based sort of off the leg of the frog hopper in the way that it builds up all this tension and then releases, sending it off in one direction, which in most cases for me is actually sideways instead of up, but that's a different story. So, to address these shortfalls that my hopper has, I've decided to engage in a little bit of a redesign. So, the first problem I had with my hopper is the ignition, rather the trigger. The trigger in this hopper was actually a piece of string tied along the length of a spring. See, string, spring. I know it's getting complicated, but just keep with me for now. So the string goes along the length of the spring and is tied in a knot, which then has a rocket igniter put through it, such that when the supercapacitor touches the leads of the rocket igniter, it burns through the string, thus allowing the spring to release its tension and then causing the hopper to go sproing. Well, turns out that is a lot more complicated than I'd originally thought. So, what I've settled on for now is something a little bit simpler. Instead of having this long piece of spring wire here in order to guide the spring, so you see the spring wire guides the spring, just stay with me here for now. Instead of having that, I've opted to actually switch it out for a piece of fiberboard around which the spring is coiled. Now you may be asking yourself, how does this solve your trigger problem? Well, somewhere along this length there is a notch, which I will show enlarged here. If I had a marker that worked. There we go, you can probably see that. And in there slots the top piece. So you have these two pieces at an angle to each other with, this is a very enlarged drawing. The spring is coiled around here. And this notch is, because the spring is pushing up this direction, the notch is trying to push in that direction, but we have a secret weapon. And that secret weapon is something called a suction cup. I know you may not have heard of it before, but it's just like a regular cup, except that when you push it down on something, it doesn't want to go away. Anyways, so you have a suction cup attached, something like this, such that once the force laterally overcomes the force that the suction cup can withstand, this hole slips sideways, allowing the entire bottom to slip through the hole, thus causing the hopper to go on a parabolic trajectory off somewhere in the distance.
You're out frame.
I know this all may be a little bit complicated, so let me put this in simpler words. Push thingy on angle, go sideways, hopper sproing, and see it all comes back around to my design goal. Another problem that I've ended up addressing is in the back of the hopper we have this hinge, if you can call it that. It's two pieces of spring wire connecting the backs of the hopper. Well, come up with a way to address that too. This is quite flimsy now, but instead of that, what we're going to do is we're going to make these pieces which look something like this, which then will slot into holes in this board, which look like that. And then you'll have two of these boards, like this, and like this, which fit through these holes, which then allow it to move like this. Isn't it beautiful? I just love when the plan comes together. Anyways, those parts may not have been finished in time for this video. And rather, this video may not have even been finished in time for this video. But you can rest assured that this hopper is on its way. And nothing is going to stand in the way of it going somewhere probably not that fast. Remember, keep it cool, kids.